what is the value that an advisor brings to you in the wealth creation process? Well, welcome to subramani.com. Please click on the bell icon and subscribe. Nice to see people staying on longer and watching the videos almost in full. People watch it about 70-80%, which is not a bad number. But I wish I see 100% also. So anyway, thanks for being here. The advisor value is when the advisor has a lot of experience and you know him well. Like I have had an advisor since 1979. Let me repeat, 1979, which means 21 plus 20, 41 years relationship. Both of us were young and both of us had a lot of black hair. I mean, almost all black hair, right? I was 17, he must have been 21, 22, and that's when we started, and it's still going on. See, there is a difference between reading about an incident and having been through the incident. So, 1969, Mumbai riots, Shiv Sena stone hurled at our building full of South Indians. So, they threw a stone. The stone flew over my head. It broke a glass and flew over my head, and nothing happened to me. That to me is far greater a riot than the 1984 Sikh murders, right? That was a piece of statistic. This was what I saw, what I suffered, right? Maybe I was very young, but I still remember it vividly. Now, cut to when Morgan Stanley sold 1 million shares of Reliance. It was unthinkable that somebody would sell such a huge quantity. I was sitting on the terminal and it was like my mouth was open, it was agape and saying, my God, what's happening? No limits, nothing, thak, it just went. And we are talking really 1993, 94, right, when such volumes were unheard of. 1 crore volume in a day in a broker's office was considered like party time, right? Today there are many people who do that kind of deal size. Things have changed. So an investor gets help from an advisor who's been through thick and thin of the market, who has experienced all this and is able to handhold you. Now you would think with 40 years experience, I don't need hand-holding, right? Wrong, completely wrong. I get carried away when I meet good people working in good companies with good management and at the top. For example, I got carried away and I thought DHFL was a good management. I still think they're good management because they paid up some 55,000 crores in the market. If they wanted to default, I thought they should have defaulted much earlier. But anyway, I got carried away and I wanted to buy the share at 215 and I wanted to buy maybe 2,000 shares. My broker said, let's buy less, and he made it just 100 shares, right? 2,000 to 100. So that's important. What I learned from Naren while building my portfolio is sizing. Don't go and buy 100 shares and 200 shares. If you need to make serious money, you need to do serious research and you need to take a serious stake. For example, if I tell you that Tata Power is a good buy at 30 rupees or whatever is the price prevailing today, what is the point in you buying 200 shares? What will it do to your portfolio? You may have to buy 50,000 shares or 1 lakh shares depending on the size of your portfolio, or maybe 10 lakh shares depending on the size of your portfolio. So if you pick up small quantities, you will have a nice long list, but you will not be in the process of creating wealth. You will be able to say, oh, I bought Tata Power at 30 rupees, today it is 40 rupees, or I bought Tata Power at 30 rupees and I sold it off at 50 rupees. How many shares? 200 shares. Does it really help you? It doesn't, right? So the guy should be able to do both. He should be able to help you size up and he should be able to help you cut down. He should also be able to force you to sell shares when they are doing well. It is only when the share is doing well, some shares can even be sold. Some shares can never be sold when it is doing badly, right? Then you need liquidity. So you sell a share when it is doing well. You sell commodity shares when the commodity price is up. It does not matter what is the PE of the share price, right? So those are all things which only an advisor can tell you, can hold hands and say, have you made your will? Where is the copy? Why is it not ready? Why is your house document still not registered? Right? He has to take a comprehensive view in your life. I mean, my broker doesn't make any money if I buy or sell a real estate, right? But he'll still check up, documentation is done, right? So this all happens more from friendship rather than just broker relationship. And friendship is clairvoyant, so you should be able to, look at what your client is going to require in future. That is where friendship comes, and it becomes slightly above just the broker client relationship. What other things should he do for you? He should have the guts to tell you that what you're saying is wrong, it doesn't happen this way. Guts to tell you, yes, you got 50,000 shares, it looks very nice to multiply 50,000 by the gain, but it is perfectly all right to keep selling 1,000, 2,000 shares. You have to take some money off the table. Not all money off all the tables, but some money off some tables, yes, right? It's like playing poker. So at some stage, you need to book some profits, right? If you are using your advisor just to pick stocks or just to pick mutual funds in which to invest, find out whether he has a decent process by which he is doing so, or is he just going by what he reads here and there. That's not a process. If he does not have a process, he may be useful for certain other things, right? If he's happy to push you to make a will and things like that, he's doing a good job. If he's done your document audit, he's done a good job. If he has helped you doing all this, if he has helped your children, if he talks to your children, teaching them wealth creation process. Face it, we are all creating wealth for our families. We are all far beyond our lifetime. Our wealth is going to last, which means your children have to look after wealth in the long term. So is your advisor capable of talking to them? Is he capable of advising children? Is he capable of addressing children, saying what children should know about money? Right? All these things should decide whether he's a good advisor, whether he deserves the fees that he gets, not just from the stock picking, and again where you have huge result bias and survivor bias. Both of this, he'll say, yeah, I know this fund is good, but that fund manager may not last. That could also be true, and that could also be false, that could also be biased. So you need to navigate through all this. He should help you navigate. He should admit what are his mistakes. For example, my broker hates cutting losses, but he is very good in sizing. But he will not even allow me to buy a share unless there is very strong evidence that I know something which he doesn't know. And I'm very rarely able to put that evidence across to him. So he'll just say no, right? So those things are important. The ability to stand strong with you when you make a mistake, but also admonish you and say, no, you can't build up a position on some shit like this just because it's going down, or just because it's going up, it doesn't mean you don't have to sell. Sell maybe 100 shares. You have 6,000 shares, fine. Sell 100. Sell 100 every week. But just book some profits. You need to take some money off the table and put it to wealth preservation products, which could be government bonds or PPF or simple money market mutual fund growth option, so that you don't have to pay tax on it for an extremely long period of time. Thank you.